Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. So as you guys can see from the title of this video, it is called The Hussie and the Fraud, episode 1. So I'm also calling this video The Conversation because this video is picking up from I Kissed a Fraud. I believe it's episode 3, after I filed for divorce and all of that. However, I wanted to tell you guys about the conversation that I had with this woman prior to me filing for divorce. So let's pick up from there. So I'm almost pretty sure that the date was August 12th, 2020. Prior to this specific date, I had done my research and was able to get this female's phone number through my phone records. So I was able to look up her phone number and find out her address, her address, her phone number, and some other things, thanks to Google. So if you guys remember from a previous video, this female was a co-worker of his, or is a co-worker of his. So yeah, pretty much I already knew where she worked. I already knew what kind of car she drove because I would see her car when it was parked basically in front of my house. So never in a million years did I think that I would ever, when I tell you guys, ever have to have that woman to woman conversation. Like, y'all, I just never saw myself doing that. But the whole purpose of me wanting to call this particular person was to really give her a heads up, because that's something that I did not have. No one gave me a heads up, a warning, a cautionary tale, nothing about this individual, my fraud. It's interesting to know that a lot of like his family members like kind of just went along with it, and although they may not have known specifics, like they knew like something was up, and I believe like he's been doing this for a long period of time, but nobody gave me like any type of like heads up. And so that was really my reasoning for wanting to call this individual. So pretty much I sit at my vanity area and I call this number, and when the person picks up, they already have an attitude. And so interestingly enough, looking back on it, I'm not sure if the person already had my number, because the person that already had an attitude, when they picked up the phone, it was like, what? She answered the phone like, hello. And so I was already caught off guard, because I'm like, you know, like that's not how I expected somebody to answer the phone. And so I asked for her by name, and she was like, who is this? And so then I told her who I was, and you know who my husband was, or my fraud. And so she was like, hold on, he's on the other line. So basically I had stopped her from clicking over because I didn't know like if she was aware of what was going on or wasn't aware, but ultimately like I didn't want him involved. This was a conversation between me and her, and that's kind of how I wanted to keep it. And so she was like, I said, hold on, I'm woman enough to have this conversation. Let me just get him off the phone. And honestly, y'all, I'm not putting like my extras on it. That's really how like she sounded and talked. So next thing I know, apparently she clicks over, she tells him that, you know, I'm on the other line, and then she clicks back onto the phone with me. So I had realized like she just had so much animosity. Like you would have thought like I was messing with her husband, but that wasn't the case. So I just was like, ma'am, like why are you so upset, right? And so basically I told her, I was like, look ma'am, I'm not, you know, coming at you with any type of drama. This isn't even like a woman to woman conversation. This is really me just giving you like a heads up if you didn't already know. And so y'all, she pretty much proceeded to tell me that they had worked together for however many years, that he apparently wanted to talk to her back in like 2018, but that she encouraged him to stay with his wife, myself, and to work it out and to talk it out. But then somehow in 2020, you know, she decided to partake, make it make sense. But yeah, so she tells me this information. Then she proceeds to tell me that she was aware that we do live in the same complex, like literally the same complex, that she knew what my car was, she passed my car, that she knew who I was, that she had seen my social media, and that I was a beautiful woman or girl or whatever she called me. And so yes, she proceeded to tell me these things, and she told me that they didn't start out like this, that they started off as friends, and that ultimately they became best friends, and that he tells her everything. Their level of communication is on 1,000. Like y'all, this is somebody that is telling me about my husband, and I'm just like, is this happening right now? is this happening right now? And so I'm so proud of myself that I kept it together. Like, y'all, I was not crying fool. I didn't cuss her out. I didn't do anything, y'all. She ended up telling me her life story. She ended up telling me about her baby daddy. She ended up telling me, like, this is a consistent pattern with her. She messes with other people's men, husbands and boyfriends or whatever. And so the more that she continued to talk, I honestly was like, birds of a feather flock together. They are two peas in a pod. And so for me, I honestly did not feel like it was worthy of me shedding tears. Like, I just didn't feel like that. And so prior to that date, so we'll say August 12, 2020, when I'm having this conversation with her, I had been depressed. I hadn't been eating. Like, I was sick, y'all, sick to my stomach to find out all of this information. So it was like, at this moment, I felt a level of, I guess, relief, having talked to her, to know, like, y'all both back crazy. Like, y'all both are crazy. And I'm so thankful that God is removing me from this situation. Like, it was just such a toxic situation. So yeah, basically she continues to tell me about her and them. She even tells me that she had been trying to encourage him to, like, work it out with me, even up until that moment. And I told her, I said, don't send him back over here. And she was like, what? And I was like, do not send him back over here. Like, I don't want him. And so honestly, I can tell you guys that the moment that I made the decision that, like, this was done, this was over, and then I started to find out everything else, never, not once did I ever want him back. Never, not once did I miss him. That's not my story. When I was done, I was done, and I'm still done. And so I told her, like, girl, you can keep him. You can keep him. And she was like, I can't? Girl, yes, please, by all means, keep him. So basically we have, I believe it was like a 45-minute conversation, her doing most of the talking, and she was still pretty snappy until she got to the point where she was like, he told me that, you know, you guys filed for divorce and you're just waiting for it to be final. And I was like, I'm sorry, who filed for divorce? And she was like, y'all filed for divorce. And I was like, ma'am, ain't nobody filed for divorce yet. And she was like, what? And that's when her tone changed, because at this point she's thinking she's telling me everything and she just knows it. But I'm like, ma'am, ain't nobody filed for divorce. And so then she was like, oh, well, I'm gonna have to talk to him about that, because, you know, he told me that, you know, you guys had already filed for divorce. And she was like, something about he doesn't really lie to me, and I don't know if that's considered a lie. And I'm like, mind y'all, what I didn't tell y'all, she's older than me. So he's older than me, she's older than me. They're both closer to each other in age. So I believe she was turning, I think I want to say like 43 or something like that. And so for me, I'm just like, how is this her mentality in her 40s? Like, I would never want to have her same mentality. Thankfully, I've never had her mentality, but to have that same mentality at 40 plus years old, it's mind-boggling to me. So when she says, like, that he didn't lie to her, and I was like, ma'am, the fact that he is withholding information is a lie. He's not giving you the opportunity to make an informed decision for yourself. That's a lie. And that's essentially what he would do with me. He would not give me the whole story, or he would not, like, he would blatantly lie or just leave out pieces. And therefore I was never able to make an informed decision because he would lie. So I proceeded to tell her that I had not filed for divorce yet, that I was attempting to, you know, start getting the paperwork together, but that he was basically dragging his feet on signing paperwork, and that he owed me money. And so I don't know if I had told you guys in the previous video, but we had 3 phone plans under my phone plan, 1 for him and then 2 for his daughters. And so in order for me to get those numbers off and cut those lines out, it would cost me, I believe it was like $1,500, $1,600, something like that. And so I was waiting for the money to do that. Like, these aren't my lines. And plus our phone bill was like $500 or something, and he was letting it lapse. So then it was already up to like $1,000. So my whole thing was, I had played it so smooth and so cool, because I was like, I don't want to put myself in a financial position where I'm tapped out. So I'm already in the process of going through a divorce. I'm already becoming a single parent again, and now I'm responsible for taking care of all of these bills. I do not want to allow this person to tap me out while he over here living his best life. So essentially she tells me that she's aware about the phone plan and that he's using the phone and everything, and she was like, don't worry, I'll talk to him, he'll pay it, no problem. So I'm like, all right, girl, do what you do, you know, please get him to pay this, right? And so essentially I feel like that was pretty much the end of the conversation. She then tells me, like, oh, if you ever need to talk, if you ever need anything, you have my number. And I'm like, what? What? Yo, I just couldn't. Like, I just can't. And so when I got off the phone with her again, I think it was after like a 45-minute conversation, like I told you guys, I just had a sense of relief. And I remember I went over to my mom's house and my mom was like, this is the first time that I've ever seen you like smile in a long time. Like, this is the first time I've seen you laugh. Because y'all, I just couldn't believe like this was my life. Like, y'all would think I was making this stuff up, but like, this really happened. It really happened. So like I told you guys, that was August 12th, 2020, I believe, right? August 17th, again, I believe, is when I filed for divorce. And so I filed for divorce, and that is when I also found out that they were in Vegas for her birthday and that he had proposed. If not that same day, it was like that next day. But I believe it was the same day that I filed for divorce. So make it make sense that you know that this man is not, he's not divorced. Paperwork hadn't been filed yet to your knowledge, but yet you still decide to accept a proposal and to marry this person that you know is married. So because I knew that he was going to have me go through the long drawn out process of like filing paperwork, going to court and everything, I made sure to ask for, I think I asked for alimony, I asked for half of his retirement, I asked for my money for the Sprint bill, for the phones and the Sprint bill. And I think those were like the top things that I had asked for. Now, mind you, if he would have just signed the papers prior to, I wasn't asking for anything. I just wanted out of the marriage. But because I knew I was going to have to go to court and everything, I was like, might as well make it worth the time. So like I told you guys, August 17th is when I file. August 17th is when he's in Vegas with her and they're having like a family, you know, birthday, whatever, and he proposes. And so because I have this information and I have this intel, I also knew when they were going to be returning back, which happened to be August 19th. So just a few days after I had filed the divorce papers. And so I had them served, and when I say them, I mean them, served as soon as they returned back from Vegas. So as they were pulling up and returning, I had them served. And yeah, looking back on it, like, y'all have no idea how much intel I had. Like, I could have done so much with the information that I had, but my whole thing, and my people will tell you, my whole thing was be strategic. Do not let your emotions overpower you. Be strategic. I was like, be like the white folks, okay? I cannot sit up here and slash tires and go to jail. I need to be about my money, keeping my money and keeping my everything while I'm getting out of this situation. So you would figure that after they were served divorce papers that, you know, maybe that would like click in her mind, but even still, no. She then continued to, of course, stay over the course of time. So sometimes they would stay here, sometimes they would stay at her place. So even if I wasn't the person necessarily getting like the information, I had a tribe of people that were like, look, we got you, we gonna get you all the information that you need, because my whole purpose was getting information so that I can take it to court. So of course I would find out through social media that, you know, she had begun posting pictures and she would include him, but it would just be like his arm, his shoulder, or, you know, just like things. It was never his face, but it was like his body parts. And then she would start to post stuff about like planning my wedding, or, you know, she posted the ring. And, you know, when people would ask questions, you know, she wouldn't necessarily divulge, you know, too much information. And it was just so creepy the way things went down. Like, especially in social media, if you're posting that you're getting married and everything, like you would post you guys as a couple or an engagement or something like that, but like she would only post the ring, or she would like make comments about it, but you would never see him until like later on. So then over the course of time, my tribe had also gave me information once they found out where the venue was gonna be. They had like a tentative date of when the date would be, and then I remember like the location, like they knew it was gonna happen in Vegas. So like they would give me all this information and I would just honestly compartmentalize and put it in like a space in my head that's like, this is for evidence. This is for evidence. You will not allow this information to, you know, stress you out or depress you or, you know, anything. You're not even going to grieve this information. You're just going to use it if you need it in court. And so something else that I thought was just the craziest thing is that she was also pretty much aware that his daughter had received her inheritance, and I believe that she was fine with also spending and using his daughter's inheritance money. And so for me, like, that is a despicable act. Like, he's despicable in his own right, and then you add in her, like, that is why I call it the Hussie and the Frog, because it was just like, it's so deplorable. I can't even put it in words, you know, but that's what happened. So this is episode 1 of the Hussie and the Fraud. Make sure you guys stay tuned to the second episode where I go into more details about, you know, going through my divorce process while they're planning a wedding, and then they got married but we hadn't got divorced yet. So yeah, you guys definitely want to stay tuned to the next episode. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.